Hey everyone, this is Laura with Laura Astrology. I'm here to give you the update for March 30th through April 5th, 2020. So there's a lot going on in the skies right now. And although most of us are probably quarantined or self-isolating, there's still quite a bit that's being reflected in the sky. So starting on Monday, March 30th, we have Mars moving into the sign of Aquarius. So Mars spends about 6 weeks in every sign, and Mars represents our actions, how we take action, what we want. Mars is the planet that fights for us, and that can sometimes cause conflict. It's generally how we take action, how we spend our energy, how we're motivated. And Aquarius is a sign that's all about the group, all about society, all about like what could be, what could society be like. It's about the perfection of humanity, the perfection of human ideals. It's a very lofty, idealistic sign. And so, around this time, actions could become more group-oriented, and there's definitely more of a concern with society at large. Our efforts are aimed towards the collective, at what we can do to make things better. There's definitely going to be more of an urgency to connect and socialize, this being an air sign. Air signs are all about connecting and communicating, and especially, using the internet. And this is definitely not anything new, but Aquarius is a sign that has to do with the internet. And so that's a little bit about Mars and Aquarius. This will last for about 6 weeks. And actually on Tuesday the 31st, Mars will be making a conjunction to Saturn in Aquarius at the very early degrees of Aquarius. And so this will actually mark the second 6-week period where we have Mars and Saturn in the same sign. So we had Mars and Saturn both in Capricorn for about 6 weeks. Starting in February. And so this will be the second 6-week period where these two planets are in the same sign. And this is actually pretty unique because Mars and Saturn only share the same sign for about 6 weeks once every 2 years, because Mars takes about 2 years to travel around through all the zodiac signs. So this is a pretty unique situation, and Mars and Saturn are both what's called malefic planets in ancient astrology. So they're the planets that bring a little bit of strife and struggle and hardship and challenge. And so it's definitely very telling that we're having 2 6-week periods where these two malefic planets are together. And I think it's very fitting for what we're experiencing now with the coronavirus. So this conjunction could be seen as kind of a peak of sorts, or kind of the worst it might get. And we'll be feeling this sensation, this feeling will last for at least a week, because it's not only when two planets make an exact conjunction. There's usually in astrology, there's the 3-degree rule. So there's looking at how planets are functioning when a planet is coming within the 3 degrees of another planet, and then when that planet is leaving within 3 degrees of that planet. And so this will definitely be about a week, but could be seen as a peak of the situation financially, with the healthcare. So we can kind of expect the peak to be probably in about a week, so by next Monday, at least according to astrology. And during this time when Mars is in Aquarius, Mars is ruled by the planet Saturn, because Saturn rules the sign of Aquarius. So Mars has to answer to Saturn. And I know I talked about this a lot before about Saturn and Aquarius themes. But Saturn in general, remember, is a planet about commitment to integrity. It's about fear. It's about tests and trials and tests of one's integrity. It can be experienced as hardship and as challenges, as boundaries. And also it's a planet of isolation. you know? And so Saturn in Aquarius is saying that we must be committed to the group, to the welfare, the well-being of the group, because remember, Aquarius is all about the group and about progressing the group and the ideals of humanity. Saturn in Aquarius says we must be committed to the group by isolating, by being alone, by being the hermit. The hermit card in tarot is very much so associated with Saturn. So, you know, we must be committed to the group by isolating to keep everyone safe, for everyone's well-being. And, you know, this, on a personal level, this conjunction could be experienced as especially frustrating for you personally, because Mars is a planet of action. It wants to go. It's a fiery planet. And Saturn is the lord of cold and winter and darkness, and it wants to stop. So there's definitely this very like go stop energy, which can feel very frustrating and maybe even feel like you're a little bit stuck. So anyway, that aspect is becoming exact on Tuesday the 31st, but it's been building up for the past week. And remember, this influence will last for about a week as well. Oh, and in general, you know, with these two planets in the sign of Aquarius, there's a lot of pressure on how do we take care of each other? How do we, you know, what does social justice look like during this time? You know, what about people who are marginalized, people who are homeless, people, like, how are we protecting the very outskirts of our society? And how can we do that with integrity? Remember, Saturn is a planet of integrity. So definitely something to keep in mind. And, you know, it's being reflected in how the government's responding to this, you know, by extending people's unemployment benefits and by giving everyone $1,200. And granted, you have to like have a social security number and like an identity card, I believe, in order to get those benefits. So it's not a perfect system, but it steps in the right direction. So Friday, April 3rd, we have Venus moving into Gemini. And this is actually where Venus will be until August, because Venus will go retrograde in Gemini in May. And so we'll have like a really long time of Venus in Gemini. And remember, Venus is how we relate with others. It's our values. It's how we're in relationship, how we get what we want through attraction, how we stay together, how we keep the peace, how we connect. You know, it's a very relationship planet. And Gemini is an air sign. It's ruled by the planet Mercury. Gemini is also associated with being very playful, and, you know, it's an air sign, so there's this focus on the exchange of ideas and information. Being ruled by Gemini, there's a very inventiveness to Venus. So this could be a time of inventiveness for business or how to make money during this time. There could be an upsurge of this focus on exchanging ideas and information because Mercury rules over Gemini, and Mercury's all about the mind, communication, exchanging ideas. Definitely our social lives will be up for review, as is very obvious. And that's, you know, kind of when Venus will go retrograde in Gemini. That'll be later, but it'll be this concept of our social lives being up for review. So that's kind of a general theme for Venus and Gemini. I would say we have to kind of look at what's happening with Mercury in the sky right now to get more information about Venus and Gemini. And especially on the same day, on Friday, April 3rd, Mercury, which is still in Pisces, the sign of its fall or detriment. So Mercury does not function especially well in Pisces. And Mercury will be making a conjunction to Neptune in Pisces on this day. So this is like a double whammy. This is like a double blow for Mercury. And so there's always two sides of the same coin with any aspect, any sign, any planet in a sign, any planet making an aspect with another planet. So on the one hand, Mercury in Pisces making a conjunction with Neptune in Pisces could be about dreams, illusions, fantasies. Be mindful of altered states or drugs or like drinking too much on this day. This is a time of rose-colored glasses, of potential confusion or fogginess or unclear, things not being very clear. Neptune can have that very like elusive, otherworldly feeling of things being a bit foggy or behind the veil. On the positive, or maybe experienced as more positive, there's this idea of connection, of the merging of minds, mental bliss. Neptune is a sign of, Neptune is a planet of what we mythologize, what we dream of, what we make into fantasy. And so this could be experienced as mental bliss or getting lost in a fairy tale or a myth. And so, this could be both really beautiful, great time for like meditation. Even if, the concept of like meditating in a group using technology kind of comes up for me. If you're wanting that social connection with Venus and Gemini, great time for self-reflection, for writing, journaling, spending time in your backyard if you can, if you have one. But we need to be careful about deception on this day, because this was when Venus is going to Gemini, remember, and Mercury ruling Gemini, and Mercury's in Pisces, a sign of its fall, making a conjunction with Neptune. There can definitely be a lot of misleading information on this day, so be careful of where you get your information and that they're credible sources. Or it could all be about healing, and there could be an otherworldly quality to the information and to speech in general. So that's a little bit about Friday the 3rd. And once again, you might feel that even, a couple days before, a couple days after. I'm mainly going over when these aspects are exact, but it's not like so isolated that you will only feel the effects of the planetary alignments on the day, right? So Saturday, April 4th, we have Venus. We'll be making a trine to Saturn. And, this Mars is like right there. Mars is past Saturn a little bit by this point. But Venus is making a trine to both malefics. And so this might kind of like ease the stress. There might be a sense of relief from the stress of all of this. Venus is one of the benefic planets in astrology. So she's more associated with good times, with pleasure, with ease, with sweetness, with benefits. So Venus helps to relieve maybe a sense of isolation that you're experiencing at this time. I mentioned this before, but I think perhaps new or inventive ways to create income while at home and it being actually sustainable. Saturn is a planet of sustainability, of longevity, of commitment, of follow through. And so, those inventive ideas, keeping working at them, trying to be productive towards those, trying to create a tangible result. This could be about deepening relationships and commitments that are made. Saturn being, the planet of commitment, and Venus being the planet of relationships. There could definitely be a sense of productivity or a sense that help is on the way. And it's interesting because on the same day we have Jupiter making a conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn. And this is the first of 3 conjunctions that are happening between Jupiter and Pluto this year in 2020. So this is the first conjunction of 3. Jupiter indicates benefits, blessings, abundance, in general benefits. And Capricorn is a sign that it's a lot of things, but it's definitely a sign representing government systems and structures that we all use together collectively in our lives to exist. Government, basically. And so this will be, this is about benefits from the government, right? But at the same time, it's like kind of a double whammy because Jupiter really suffers in the sign of Capricorn and he doesn't function very well. And so there might be a sense of loss at the same time. This could be the time where you might, if you're unemployed and you've applied for unemployment benefits, this could be indicating the time when you'll be like seeing those rewards, seeing those benefits come into your bank account from the government. Jupiter and Pluto are two planets that indicate wealth, prosperity, and power. And so, this is definitely reflective of this economic crash that we're experiencing. Pluto is like, okay, let's take a look at what's wrong with the system. Let's dig it up. Let's show it, in its fullest to everyone. Let's get those secrets out and let's look at them. So this is all about looking at our economic system in the US and looking at the ways in which it's not functioning well for most people, it's functioning mostly for the 1%. And so this is definitely a deep dive, because Pluto likes to go on deep dives and to investigate and research and figure things out. This is a deep dive into the very systems and structures that we rely on, that keep us alive, that keep us functioning as a group. And so there's definitely an emphasis on the economic system in the US and in the world in general. This is happening for everyone. And so, the second time that this conjunction will happen will be around in June sometime. And then the third will be in mid-November. So this is part of a story. This is the unraveling of a story that is based on looking into the depths of our economic system and seeing what's working and what's not working, and how we can really lend a hand to each other, and how the government has our backs. And it's in this case, it's really great that we're getting all of this. Each person who makes under $75,000 a year will get $1,200 in a check or as a direct deposit. And then if you have applied for unemployment benefits, you'll be getting, in addition to what you would normally get, an additional $600 a week. That's really great. That's amazing. And is that really sustainable for this type of epidemic, right? Do we, is this more of a Band-Aid, or what is the deeper rooted issue going on that we need to look at in our government, in our economic system, in the ways that we relate and rely on each other. So anyway, so that's happening Saturday, April 4th. So there's the Venus trine Saturn. So there's going to be this relief. Venus is bringing relief, right? And Venus is a planet of money and finances as well. And then the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, this is, I really think around this time, or maybe a few days after, we'll be getting those benefits, getting that relief, feeling a little bit like, oh, okay, I can breathe again. I'm not going to starve. I'm going to be able to pay rent, right? I know a lot of people are really worried about that right now. So that is the week of the 30th, March 30th through April 5th, 2020. I know there's a lot going on, and there's not at the same time. It's very weird. But do let me know what your maybe even internal experiences are in the comments if you want to, especially I'm interested in all of it, but there's definitely a lot of this stuff that will be reflective of our internal worlds and our psychology and our feelings and our emotions and our thoughts, etc. So let me know, and I'm continuing to offer 25% off any of my services for the next however long, definitely through the end of March. So if you're interested in that, you can contact me. My website is lauragadenick.com. I'll post it in the comments below. And otherwise, try to have a good week. There's a lot of ways that we still can connect with people. And I know that like online isn't the same as in person. But you know, if you have roommates, I encourage you to like even schedule a time where you can just hang out together every day. You really, that human contact is super important. That face-to-face contact, and even like touch, you know, you have to think about our needs as human creatures of needing touch. Like, are you getting, you know, if you live with someone, maybe think about giving them a hug, or something. Yeah. Also, plant a garden if you have the ability to. Now is the best time ever to start thinking about food production and providing for yourself. And you know, it's great exercise, you get sunlight, and you get to have a project to work on. If you're stuck at home with nothing to do, you have a project to work on, a goal, which is really healthy for your mental health and your body. And just the beauty of knowing that you're growing food for your sustenance, and so that you wouldn't have to like go to the store as much maybe, or at least knowing that you're getting really healthy produce. And I definitely recommend people to take vitamin D, a ton of vitamin D, especially if you're not getting outside at all. Definitely vitamin C, and you know, any like immunal support you can get, like go to a health food store, go to like a nutrition store. I mean, I can't help but say this, I'm a Virgo. I have like 4 planets in Virgo, so I am very, I believe in the power of health and nutrition and food to really carry us through, not only for our physical health, but our mental health, because it's also connected. So anyway, I really hope you take care of yourselves, and let me know how things go, and try to have a good week. Okay, bye everyone.